Whole Woman listeners. We have got such a fantastic show for you because it is a word that I have heard, or expression, or phrase, or that I've heard thrown around. And I finally did a little research on it, and I thought, what better topic to talk to Miss Kimmy about than toxic positivity? How are you today, Kimmy?
I'm doing well, and I'm feeling excited about this show because until you said toxic positivity to me about 5 minutes ago, I'd never really heard about it. I mean, of course, I've experienced it, but I've never heard that term before. So I'm excited to talk about this.
I think it'll be really interesting because as when something catches on, people just throw it around. And I'm not really sure, because I know I didn't, and you just said you didn't really quite understand where the term comes from.
Mhm.
I love to consider myself a positive person because I worked hard to be a positive person and have a positive mindset. And I always tell people it doesn't mean that things don't happen in my life or to other people's life in my circle that aren't scary and stressful and all the things. But I do work hard to keep a grateful mindset. And so when someone just says, oh, by giving another person your concern or trying to uplift someone is toxic positivity, I just felt like that wasn't fair.
Yep.
So today we're just going to kind of talk about it a little bit and maybe give some people distinctions on how to handle stressful and sad and anger situations for the people in your life.
Yeah. And I do the same thing. There was a time when I look back where I was so busy, and even though my heart felt something for a person who had lost or gone through a hard experience or whatever, I really probably just gave them that quick word of mouth, I'm praying for you. Or, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Or he's in a better place. As I grow older and I tried to come back into really spending time with the people that I love and that I care about and trying to give them space to be sad or angry or hurt or I don't know, pick the thing,
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah.
And as I've evolved in my coaching practice, I have learned that there's not always a silver lining, right? I mean, like I'm a positive person too, and I always try to see the best in people and the best in things, but there are moments that need to be sad or
Uh-huh.
emotional or connected. And that
Mm,
doesn't always mean little Molly Sunshine showing up.
yeah.
And so when you said toxic positivity to me at first, I was thinking, oh, this has to be like some Instagram trend, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
people taking hard words and making them cheery, but
Yeah.
it's just the opposite. I mean, it's like people being cheery in lieu of feeling emotion,
Yeah.
right? Am I understanding it right?
I mean, that's where I'm at too. Like, again, buzzwords always kind of make me want to roll my eyes, but for some reason, I heard it again last night in some conversation. It wasn't some conversation I was having, I just heard it. And it made me look it up. It made me ask ChatGPT, what is this? And I was fascinated by what the information that came back. And I'm like, oh, okay. So
Mhm.
people, but I think the word toxic for me is a little harsh. I think we all have a hard time with emotions. I think we all have a hard time when something bad does happen because you want to be supportive, you want to connect, but it's hard. And sometimes I I've learned that it's you don't know what to say. And sometimes all you got is I'm so sorry.
Mhm.
And that's okay too. I would rather say to somebody if something happened to them that was upending their life in the moment, I'm so sorry. How can I support you? Instead of giving them some kind of like, oh, I know this sucks right now, but it's gonna get better. I I would rather do that and just have a very simple answer because it doesn't mean that I'm not being heartfelt. I do mean it, but I also know that in times like this, especially if it's something I have not yet experienced, you don't have the words for it. And just to say, I'm so sorry you're going through this or you're experiencing this, or I'm so sorry that this is happening. If that's all you got and you mean it, I don't see the problem with that.
Right, I agree. And my gut tells me that it's happening because we're so connected. We're on Facebook. And, so I have 1,600 friends, right? And some people have far more than that. But those people, I'm interested when they make a post, or I'm interested when they share their grandkids, or I'm interested when they get married, but we're not really friends.
Yeah.
And yes, I feel sad if they lose someone or if someone's sick, for sure.
Hmm.
Like the human part of me aches for them,
Hmm.
but I don't know them and I don't know how they're being impacted by this thing in their life. And so sometimes it just becomes just words because we're not feeling the same thing. We're not really connected. Like we're connected, but it's just such a superficial thing with social media, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. I do.
And the flip side of that though, for listeners, we had a scary thing in my life last week. And my husband out of the blue experienced just this strange feeling. His heart was racing, he didn't have any energy. He was seeing stars, all the things. And so I went through this period of panic last week and had to cancel some things. And I didn't tell a lot of people, but I shared with a few people what was going on in my life. And like you, Rachel, you reached out to me a couple different times. Unfortunately, I was never in a situation where I could pick up the darn phone, and you were reaching out to me, but then you followed up that phone call that I couldn't answer with I'm just thinking about you. Can I help you? Are you okay?
Hmm.
That's exactly, you knew that something was going on in my life.
Hmm.
You didn't know all the details, but yet, as my friend and someone who cares about me, you sent those words that mean everything. And if we could just get back to that place where we could be honest with people, and like you said, maybe I don't know what to do. Maybe I
Hmm.
don't know what to say.
Hmm.
But if I can be there for you in the way that you need me,
Hmm.
how great would that be?
I agree. Let's talk a little bit about what the definition of toxic positivity is and maybe give people a better understanding. So let's replay that scenario. And you told me, my husband is in the ER, blah, 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 everything that we just shared. And my response, instead of what I did do, to say, oh, cheer up, Kimmy, it's all going to be okay. Don't you worry about a thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
And instead of taking your in the moment emotions, especially in that moment of like, I don't know what's going on with him yet. We're doing all the tests and we're figuring out all the things. That is the last thing that you want someone to say to you, because how am I supposed to process that everything's going to be okay when I don't even know what the hell is happening yet?
Right.
And I thought that that was a very important distinction of just being, even if I didn't know what to say to you, I'm comfortable enough with your friendship to say, I really don't know what to say to you. I'm so sorry. Please let if there's anything I can do, I will do my best to do that. Instead of giving you some like cheer thing that everything is going to be, even if I do believe that, even if my gut is telling me he's going to be okay, you may not be able in your state of emotions to process that.
Right.
And you could actually get upset with me for saying things like that.
Hmm. Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. And the thing that it comes to mind immediately is like when someone passes, right?
Hmm.
For whatever the reason is, if it was expected, if they'd lived a great life for 110 years, if whatever it is, when someone passes, the people closest to them hurt.
Yeah.
And like the thing that I hear over and over again, and it seriously makes my eyes roll and makes me just want to like I don't know, bring out this automatic little imaginary buzzer that like jolts someone. But like when they say, oh, they're in a better place,
Mm,
yes, yes. Passing can be an end of pain. It can be an entrance into glory. It can be the ending, a beautiful conclusion of a life well lived. It can be all the things.
hmm.
But in the moment that it happens, there's not a damn person that loves that person that's not aching for them to still be there.
Yeah,
You know, so
absolutely.
so I've really tried to work hard on choosing my words. And sometimes that's admitting I have no words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's just, I love the idea of coming back to communication, to empathizing with another human being. I don't know if this is under the same umbrella of what we're talking about, but I just feel like in the past decade, people have gotten so short-tempered, so opinionated about things, and having empathy and being able to see the whole picture seems lost.
Mhm.
And so I do understand while all these terms are being created because there's still that pull between humans where we do want to connect with each other. We do want to be supportive of each other. So how do we get back to that? How do we, even in the simplest terms, just appreciate humanity again and just be kind to each other?
Yeah. I've got a lot of ideas going through my head right now. One of the most comforting things for me that someone's ever said is, how do you need me to pray for you today? And for me, that goes right alongside with, what do you need? I mean, like being the kind of person who can look at another person and put all of what you can do aside, because maybe what you can do isn't what they need.
Mm,
Maybe they don't need a meal train that gives them 52,000 casseroles over the
yeah,
next 2 weeks. Maybe
yeah.
they do. Maybe they do. But I think that if we could get back to a place where we valued other people enough to really just open ourselves up and say, how can I help you?
Mm, hmm.
I think that we would go a long way towards being the kinds of friends and the kinds of family and the kind of people that we really used to be. Like getting rid of the superficial.
Right. I think it's a two-part thing, right? A, on my part, it's okay to admit I don't have the words. I don't know what the next step is. I don't know what action to take. And
Hmm.
on the part of the receiver, I think being heard and being asked, what do you need? Or how can I support you? I love that. I love both of those like coming together. And sometimes, like if it were on the other side of someone passing and they're just like, I don't know what I need right now. And just to make yourself available. But I did hear something so valuable. I was listening to a podcast, and when something traumatic happens to another person and you utter the words as their support system, let me know if I can do anything. You better mean it. And you better be able to be there and be present and to deliver. Because those empty words for someone who is grieving or going through a hard time or does maybe need a little extra support, that can be really devastating.
Hmm.
Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yes, I do. Along with that, it is so hard for those people to utter the words, I need help.
Yeah.
Or could you do this for me? Or would you
Yes.
mind taking care of this? I agree 100%. If I say, how can I help you? And I receive a response, it becomes my number one priority.
Mhm.
I am not walking out on that offer. I'm not busy. I don't have an appointment. I don't need to go to my job. I'll make it happen, And I don't know that that exists very much in the world either anymore. And I'm not trying to knock people, and I know you're not either. I mean, it's not like the whole world's bad. And But
Yeah.
these are great conversations to have because sometimes each one of us gets to the point where like, oh, I'm so busy.
Yep.
And that's another thing that's changed a lot.
Hmm.
Um, uh, I had an interview this morning. I'm doing a little sidebar podcast for my writing work that I do. And I was visiting with a woman who lost her parent when she was young. And she's written a children's book about being sad but still searching for hope and the good people that come around. And she was a
Yeah.
little girl, right? She's 7 when this happens.
Uh-huh.
And as she's talking, she's in her, 60s now, and she still has these vivid memories of the people who invited their family. Like she lost her dad, right? And so mom and her brothers and sisters, they would go to other people's houses for dinner, or they would
Hmm.
be invited to things where people would, drop stuff off. And there was just this big sense of community because in a world prior to social media or cell phones or, always being available, you counted on the people that were in your immediate space. And
Right.
a lot of times that was family. Families weren't stretched out like they are now.
Right.
And I just find it's not impossible to go back there. In fact, it should be even easier to go back there because we're so connected. If we would use this connectedness for good.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah. We're getting kind of deep today.
I know. It happens to us sometimes. I think really it's everybody's choice, like how involved you want to be with another human being when something happens.
Hmm.
And, when a death in the family does happen, it just kind of stops your life for the moment,
Hmm.
or not the moment, for the time being. I don't know about you, but I do also feel like to give yourself permission to do the things that you have to do and make the arrangements and feel the feelings and take care of whatever you have to take care of should just be widely accepted. Like these are the things I got to do and nothing else matters this week. And I hope that being comfortable enough in your own skin as far as humans go to just know that the world is not going to stop. It'll be right there when I get back, but this is where my heart needs to be and my physical body needs to be right now. One of my neighbors yesterday called me and she's like, "So I'm at the hospital and I'm having this procedure. I didn't know that they were going to put me under and I need a ride home." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, what time?" She's like, "Well, until I find somebody, they won't do the procedure." And I said, "Okay, well, here's the deal." And I was about an hour away from where we live. And I said, "I'm an hour away. I'm working till 4, and I am happy to come get you after that." And she ended up finding somebody else to come pick her up. But I told my truth. Like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm here, I'm committed to this, but I'm more than happy to do it after that.
Yeah.
And I mean, by then it was already like 1 o'clock, so I figured that would be okay. I mean, it wasn't that she wasn't grateful for me and wasn't, and what if it came down to that, she would have done it. She just happened to find somebody else.
Right.
But my point in sharing this story is like you said, we're all busy, we're all working, we're all doing the things, but I could have figured out how to be there for her and been a good friend in that moment if she really needed somebody.
Right.
And I also think that if people feel like they have to drop everything, and that's just not true. You can only do what you can do.
Yes, you're right. I was going to look up, I'm curious if toxic positivity is the problem, what is the opposite of that? Because you and I have talked about body positivity before and we've talked about different things. And it's just interesting how these kind of, so as I look up, what's the opposite of toxic positivity? They just call it healthy positivity. And I
Anything that's not toxic should just be considered healthy.
Yeah, exactly. But it says it's a version of positivity that does help. It doesn't skip the hard part. So, like a response to something, it might sound more like, I know this is really hard and you're not alone, which is exactly what we've been
I
talking about.
love that.
Or I can see why you feel that way.
Oh, I've heard people hate that shit.
Yep.
What-
Or we'll get through this, but we don't have to rush past right now, which I love too. So, in my question, it says, why do people turn to toxic positivity? And this again kind of confirms what we've been talking about, but they don't know what to say. They're uncomfortable with pain.
Mhm.
Maybe they've experienced pain like this themselves and it's unprocessed.
Mhm.
Or they've been taught to equate strength with staying upbeat. Put
Huh.
on a happy face kind of thing. Or we don't let people know about our problems. I've heard that a lot of
Yeah, yeah,
times when
yeah.
I was younger. We don't share those things. So,
Right.
yeah.
We live in such a different world now. I think that you and I, when we were growing up, and from then until now, like I know I've heard family members say, "Oh, we don't talk about that." But then I grew up in an evolved when I became a teenager, and like as a family, we were going through some really hard issues. My stepdad came into my life when I was 10 years old, and my parents had some, bumps in the road along their marriage. And here he is dealing with a preteen kid and all the things. So we went into family therapy, and that just kind of elevated my experience. And then it gave me something when I was going through some things as an adult to fall back on.
Yeah.
And so in our generation, talking about our feelings, dealing with our past, healing from those traumas is more normal now. But I've also heard, and I don't have kids, you have kids, so maybe you can speak to this. The generation of teenagers and young adults now have taken that to like another level. They're like, trauma is another friggin' buzzword, and triggers and all these things, which for me, I had all that shit when I was a kid too, but I didn't learn a buzzword. I learned how to process my feeling. You said that word and it kind of just jogged this memory. Processing your feelings and saying, yeah, you know what? I grew up in a really shitty time. I had this issue with my mom and blah, blah, blah. But I'm not coming from a place of the hurt is still there. And one time a therapist said to me, which I will take into every conversation because it's so valuable. But if you can share your story of your past, however painful it is, and just talk about it without emotions, that means there's a difference between I'm sharing my experience with you versus I'm still dealing with my hurt and my pain.
Mm.
And it still makes me cry. It still makes me angry. It still is how I deal with other people. And those are triggers, right? If someone says something to you that your mama used to say to you and you get all, but I love that because I am literally at a place where I can tell any story of any part of my life,
Mhm.
and 95% of it, like I can just tell you and I don't get emotional. And that doesn't mean I'm cold-hearted and I blocked it. No, it's because, honey, I have cried over it for 20 some years. I
Right.
got angry over it. I got upset. All the things.
Hmm.
So I do believe that if you can get through some of your childhood trauma and not like get a shaky voice and not get teary and not have a hard time trusting people, then it's a healed version of you that's just sharing an experience. And I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I really do.
Yeah, right. Yep, 100%. In fact, it's like I was thinking about that this weekend. Something happened and I was just like, am I numb? Am I numb? Why isn't this bothering me? What's going on here? But it was so similar to another situation that I've worked through. And I know what to do. I know how my body feels when I'm starting to get out of place, out of sync. I have a rhythm. I'm going to write it out and I'm going to figure out what is bothering me. And I'm going to spend time in prayer. And I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to do things that set me back to a place of equilibrium, if you will. I mean,
Homeostasis.
yeah. And sometimes I think that's why you and I can identify these things like toxic positivity, like why we don't like it and why we thought we should talk about it because
Yeah.
we really work hard to live in a level
Yeah.
place And so when something's that off, it kind of catches us and makes us go, huh? What was that? You know? Yeah.
I mean, on a show in the near future, I will tell my story, but you know my story of what I'm going through with my parents right now.
Mm,
I had a similar feeling. I'm like, why is this not affecting me the way maybe 15 years ago it would have? And it all leads me back to knowing that because I did deal with all my issues and I dealt with the past, I can handle this now.
mhm,
Am I upset? Yes. Do I feel bad? Yes. Do I have my moments where I just literally want to beat the shit out of him? Yes. But it's instantaneous. Those feelings that I have are right backed up with, this is not my fight.
yeah.
And all I can do for my mother is to be her support system and love her. And so, yeah, it's just so fascinating because I will be so honest when I do share my story is that before therapy, this would have wrecked me. And I would not have been able to focus. I would not have been able to do anything else but get like sucked up in this whole thing. So, yeah, dealing with your past helps, listeners.
Yes, yes, it does.
Oh, I was gonna really quickly. That show we did on the Untethered Soul,
Hmm.
he literally has a line in there where it's like, when you do all this work on yourself and when the big stuff does happen, you will be able to just like flow through it. And
Hmm.
I didn't understand what that meant right away, but if this situation has taught me that I can deal with anything,
Hmm.
then yeah, he was right. Thank you, Michael A. Singer.
Yes, but that's healthy. I mean, that's what we're talking about. That's the difference between toxic and healthy. Emotions are going to come, situations
Mhm.
are going to come, people are going to piss us off.
Yeah.
It's human nature to feel things.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not you try and force it to roll off your back without dealing with it, or whether you go ahead and feel it for a moment and process it and move on, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
that's the key. And I don't mean move on. Like if a person's out there and they're really hurting or they're really going through something now, I'm not talking about tomorrow, right? I mean, like I don't think either one of us are, but there's a process that's good for your heart, your soul, your emotional and mental health to be
Mm-hmm.
able to identify how you feel, why
Mm-hmm.
you're feeling it, and really make the decisions on how you're going to process it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes. That was really well said. I think that's really valuable because there are levels of stress. There are levels of things that go on in humanity that are maybe easier to let it just kind of roll off your back and be like, okay, or maybe that doesn't really affect me as much as I think it is, or
Mhm.
does, or needs to. And I think that there's a lot of unhealthy advice that people receive when they're going through something. And if you are not really aware of how you deal with things or how you get affected by things, then sometimes it can take a long time to heal. And I'm only speaking from experience because, again, 20 years ago, this would not be
Mhm.
a good situation for me.
Yeah. Yeah. But because you've worked through it, you're a better support system for your mom. I mean, like learning about ourselves, learning how we deal with things, it just makes us. I started to go down a road where it sounded cheeky and too positive, and I don't want to become what we're talking
You say
about.
it though,
But
it's because
but
it's true.
as we make the effort to grow and to be stronger in our own self-awareness and our own emotional health, we're better for the people around us as well. We can be those people who link arms and do exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Offer ourselves, offer our hearts, offer our prayers, offer whatever it is you need, not what I want to give you. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as always, this is such an amazing conversation, and I'm sure we could talk about it forever.
Hmm.
But I hope this clarifies like when you hear a buzzword, and today we're talking about toxic positivity, what does that really mean as far as definition, but how you behave when it comes to a friend or a family, or even a stranger going through something?
Mhm.
And I'm going to just end for me today on a note that I'm sure we have all met someone in our life who is so used to drama and things happening that it's impossible for them to be positive in any way. And I think as humans, we have to ask ourselves, okay, this person doesn't really feel like getting, to me, it doesn't seem like they want to grow, learn, evolve, or any of those things. I can't spend all these days, weeks, months, and breath trying to be there for you and support you if that's not really what you're looking for. You just want to complain to somebody and you just want to be on that end. And that's okay. I'm not a fixer. I'm not trying to fix you, but that is something that I choose to not put myself in those situations either.
Mhm.
And I don't know how you feel about that.
No, amen. I couldn't have said it better. I right there with you. So this has been good. Sometimes we just hit on something that makes so much sense, and I love being able to talk through this with you, and it makes me think about how I can be a better person. So I like that too.
Me too. It's always good to be like, okay, I'm not quite done growing yet. How can I be better? How can I do better?
Hmm.
How can I learn from this situation? So, yeah,
Hmm.
I'm really glad that that was our takeaway from this topic because I've heard it enough times that I've just brushed it off because I'm like, oh God, another buzzword. But when you stop and you say this word a lot, and it just is something we should all get tattooed on our forehead, is to be curious, right? To stay curious. And curiosity is a beautiful gift that we have as humans to, what does that really mean? Or what could I, how can I learn from this? And I'm grateful that I have that in me.
Hmm. We should do a show on ways to answer those questions, ways to stay curious and to keep growing and learning. And we have a lot of tools out there that, again, there's a lot of talk about the negativity of AI, right? Like the negative potential. But if a person stays curious and a person uses it to learn, just like with Google's AI, if you hear something and you don't know what it means, look it up. Learn more about it. Maybe it's a thing where you're that person who tries to stay positive, tries to uplift everyone around them, and maybe you've never thought, hmm, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Not that you should second guess yourself or feel bad. You don't have to write an apology if you said to somebody, "Oh, honey, it'll be okay." But learn from it and try to do it different next time.
Mhm. Ah, so well said.
Yeah.
As usual, Kimmy, it's been amazing chatting with you today.
Yeah, it's been good. I so appreciate you and so love you. And we'll be back again next week with something else fun to talk about.
Absolutely. Until then, listeners, thank you so much for listening. Please like, share, and do all the things to support the Whole Woman podcast.
Bye.